Russians, it looks like to me, did interfere in our elections. We'll never be able to decide whether they changed the outcome. But I tell you, having worked in the CIA, if we had been caught interfering in European elections or Asian elections or anywhere in the world, those countries would call for new elections, and any democracy would. And I don't see it any other way. I mean, the Electoral College before the 19th has got to know whether the Russians had an effect, whether they went to WikiLeaks, whether they hacked email, and whether they affected American opinion. And they had a good reason not to go after Hillary Clinton, because Putin hates her for the Ukraine.
So, Bob, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying we should have another election? How would that work? Is that plausible?
When a foreign country interferes in your election and the outcome is in doubt and legitimacy of the government, I don't know how it works constitutionally. I'm not a lawyer, constitutional lawyer, but I'm deeply disturbed by the fact that the Russians interfered. And I would like to see the evidence, because if the evidence is there, I don't see any other way than to vote again. I mean, as an American citizen.
We are now only 39 days out from the inauguration of the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And I'm launching a new countdown in the next 39 days until Friday, January 20th. We'll be there in D.C. covering the whole event in the streets. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Jones, your host. I want to break down the historical context of what's happening. I want to go over the evidence of it, but here's the bottom line. A lot of times when there's already been a coup inside a country by special interest or outside foreign interest, they will go after the nationalists that are exposing their coup by claiming they're working for an outside plot. And that's now been done by the Democratic Party and the Republican establishment. They've been saying for over a year that Donald Trump is a Russian operative. They've been saying Julian Assange is a Russian operative. They've been saying Nigel Farage of UKIP is a Russian operative. They've been saying I'm a Russian operative. On Thursday, on Fox News, a congressman was on the show, and a Democratic congressman, we played the clip Friday, and accused Tucker Carlson of actually being a Russian agent with a straight face. Of course, Carlson's dad was a big anti-communist, ran Voice of America, and I'll assure you the guy running the Voice of America wasn't just with the Voice of America. So they are now accusing the sons of famous anti-communists in secret operations of working for the Russians. This is the level we have now reached of absolute absurd garbage. Now, why are they doing that? That triggers continuity of government and emergency plan systems that allow, according to this bureaucracy that's hijacked us, this multinational bureaucracy, to imprison, kill whoever they want, to take over the media, you name it. And bipartisanly, they've passed a bill through the Senate, was in the House last week, to engage in domestic propaganda and the targeting of what they call domestic propaganda and the shutting down of what they call domestic propaganda. So the Republican establishment, before Trump even gets in, is moving with the Democrats to have a coup d'etat against the legal, lawful election of the American people. Robert Baer, a big leftist with the CIA, we've interviewed him before. The movie Syriana, with another fiction, was made about how cool he is. Total disinformation, in my view. He comes out and says we need to have a new election. Donald Trump stole it with the Russians. Now, remember, Hillary with Jill Stein, her front woman, had a recount. In every state they had the recount. Hundreds of thousands of votes had been stolen from Trump. He picked up hundreds of thousands. I haven't checked since Friday. It was a couple 100,000 in Wisconsin, over 100,000 in Michigan. They're going as slow as they can to then say, oh, we never got it done by the 19th, which is only 8 days away, to then say, oh, Trump doesn't get his electoral college votes. They now have not one but two electors saying they're not going to transfer in one state the 15 electors to Trump and another state as well. So they're trying to delegitimize while Trump's up there working, making hundreds of calls a day to world leaders, getting $50 billion brought in from Japan next year in robotics and other science advances, $10 billion being announced coming back in steel mills, carriers staying. They are busy while the stock market gained $1 trillion the last month. While all this is happening, they're busy trying to sabotage. The Federal Reserve has announced Trump has said he wants to keep interest rates low to spur the economy. He actually agreed with that policy. But because he's brought in this exuberance and this confidence, they're saying, oh, we're about to raise them big time to try to drive the market down and blame him. I'm saying they should be raised moderately. They're talking about big raises. We need a balance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unprecedented. I have all these clips. Now, I started telling people last week, and I told my sources and people high up, I said, I'm looking at the arrogance. I'm looking at Michael Moore, who knew that Trump was way ahead in all the polls internally, who said, you watch, Trump's going to win in a landslide, because you can't steal a landslide. It's very hard to do. A tsunami you'll block most of it, but still some of the wave slaps over and you win. I said, you watch. They're putting all of this in question. They're redditing the rioter forces. They've doubled the money they're giving to Black Lives Matter and other liberation theology groups for destabilization. And I said, you watch. They're going to just continue to push. They're going to have these electors say, because of conscience, they can't follow voters of their states with the electoral numbers that he brings from each state. And they're going to double down and say that Trump's a Russian agent. Now, just last Wednesday, the Washington Post had to retract a big article claiming that alt-right media and independent media was being run by the Russians. They said, our report has no proof, no facts. So that crumbled. Then on Friday, a secret CIA report from the usual suspect, Barack Obama, comes out. Now, the CIA has hundreds of thousands of employees, millions more operatives. It's just a huge, sprawling, un-American bureaucracy set up out of the British OSS in 1947. And Harry Truman said, I never should have done it, should be torn into pieces. Kennedy said as well, if any group is engaged in globalist coups in this country and is behind more anti-American activities, it is the Central Intelligence Agency. They helped put Mao Zedong into power in 49. That's been declassified. They even have the former CIA section chief, he's dead now, but in his 90s, a decade ago, giving interviews to the History Channel admitting it. So Donald Trump's rejected this as pure fraud. Of course it's pure fraud. They're now saying Merkel's losing her election because of the Russians. No, because she opened the borders up and brought in 2 million jihadis and raised taxes, and the country's falling apart. Iceland pulled out of the globalist system because they were raping them politically. The UK did. UKIP was started 25 years ago because the euro was unelected. Nothing to do with Russia. It was still the Soviet Union then. But see, you're not allowed to kick the globalists out. No, no, no. They're the foreign power, but they're going to tell you, no, 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 no. We're not the foreign power. We're protecting the media and everything in the elections from the Ruskies, and so we've got to take all of your freedoms now. This is so incredible. And then the next part. When they begin to trigger something like this, the same CIA that told you there were WMDs in Iraq, the same CIA that it's been declassified last year, paid for ugly art and anti-Christian art to basically destroy the morals of America. That's been declassified. The same group that pushes propaganda that families aren't good. It works for the foreign banks that are taking the country over. Does that mean everybody in the CIA is bad? No. But at the top, its mission is globalist. A coup against America, 1947, teamed up with the private Federal Reserve to capture America and use it and exploit it as an engine of global domination. Now, that said, here is the maximum alert. I've never put an alert out this strong. This is the maximum alert. We've had a lot of alerts over the years, and you take action, you spread the word, Congress listens, the media picks it up, and we have a big effect, and it turns the tide. I warned of them trying to steal the nomination from Trump. I warned before that they try to steal the delegates. I warned they try to steal it on Election Day, and Bev Harris, top election fraud expert, who is a liberal, concurs that Hillary stole at least 5 states. Now the recounts show the ones that Trump won. He won much, much more massively than they first thought. Oh, you know, before your margin's only 50,000. Now it's 250,000. Oh, here your margin's 30,000. Now it's even more. This is devastating. They're panicking on every front. They're hitting them with everything they've got. They're trying to steal this from us because they know he turns the prosperity back on. It was artificial to shut down our prosperity. That automatically massive jobs will flow back in. They've got a dam of higher corporate income taxes and regulations and garbage, all one-sided, as an admitted plan to de-industrialize us. New York Times doesn't even tell you that the recount's ongoing, but Trump's win to reverse it is unlikely. Oh, give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. So now they've got Bob Baer, the darling of the leftist arm of the CIA, out saying, looks like Trump stole this. We got to have a new election right now. That is CNN, one of the biggest media conglomerates in the world, full of CIA people, like that billionaire Anderson Cooper. And I'm not against the fact he's a billionaire, but he's a class warfare guy who never talks about all of his untold wealth. And they are up there thinking they're going to defeat this country and crush this country. Now, the big news, when we come back, I've set the table. But the big maximum alert is they wouldn't be already this bold if they weren't planning and seriously looking at assassinating Trump and using the cover of claiming he's a Russian agent. So get ready, folks. I'm telling you, they got the teams ready. They're trying to figure out how they get away with killing Donald Trump right now. You heard it here. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You going to sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you going to be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.
The right-wing smear machine has gotten Alex Jonesified this election cycle.
There's a guy named Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
From InfoWars.
From InfoWars.
Yeah.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
One of those guys who believes Bigfoot was responsible for 9/11.
I heard that on Alex Jones, so it's true.
Claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs.
The conspiracy du jour, Hillary Clinton is harboring a secret medical condition.
You just had to keep digging, didn't you, Alex?
I heard it on Alex Jones, so I know it's true.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to vary stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
And this really just is so disgusting.
The juice of these pickles is on you, Alex Jones.
It goes right from Alex Jones, and it shows up in Donald Trump's mouth.
Hillary Clinton created ISIS with Obama.
The very fringe of the conspiracy movement, like Alex Jones, are being kind of incorporated into the campaign.
If Trump gets elected, he's going to be Secretary of Defense.
I think that Alex Jones is a lunatic.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
Bill Clinton is a rapist. Infowars.com.
Bill Clinton is a rapist.
Bill Clinton is a rapist. Infowars.com. Infowars.com. Bill Clinton's a rapist.
The New World Order sends its regards.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.